From the great halls of their house, there are assembled three who hope to one day be the world's greatest driving heroes. Created from the cosmic legends of the universe comes our team captain, the Vision, Bill Fisher, and their soon-to-be Wonder Woman, Vicky Fisher, and our Captain Marvel and head flight trainee, Jennifer Scripchuk. Their mission: to fight injustice, share what is right and wrong, to get you out of your house and come out racing with them and serve all mankind. They are the Garage Heroes in Training Team.
Welcome to the Garage Heroes in Training Podcast. I'm going to be one of the hosts for this episode, and my name is Bill. Who else is hosting?
I'm Vicky.
I'm Jennifer.
You are. You guys get that right so much better now. The first few episodes, not so much, but we're doing much better. We have a guest. We have a guest driver. She is a recent college graduate. She is racing now. I believe she got a new seat, and she's racing Global Spec Miata. Did I get that right? You can shake your head. I think I did.
Yeah, it is the... Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. We're good.
Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but it is the Mazda MX5 Cup. So basically, yeah.
That's the new one. Okay. I knew it was an MX5. I just didn't know which one because there's like 4 or 5 different ones. She seems to have raced everything that we want to race. She is a 4th generation driver, and she's already done the Thunderhill 25, which is my goal for, I want to do the Thunderhill 25 before 2025, hopefully sooner. She has an excellent Swamp Dragon hot sauce livery for the MX5 Cup, and her name is Loni Unser. Welcome to the podcast, Loni.
Hi, thank you guys so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here today talking to you guys about racing, our favorite subject.
It is. It's amazing how many people are so excited when they start the podcast, and we just hope they stay that way towards the end of the podcast, but we'll see.
We'll see.
So, Loni, some people say I'm horrible at intros, and they're right. Just in case I missed something, would you want to go over like a history of you, what you're doing besides racing, or in racing, or family life, anything you want to do, just so everybody gets to know you a little better?
No, I think you nailed that. Pretty much covered everything I can think of off the top of my head. So, yeah, I guess we'll get into all of the nitty gritty.
We'll put you on the very kind guest list then. You think my podcast is, okay.
No, genuinely, I think it was a good intro. Yeah, it was great.
I am really excited that we have another girl driver.
Me
on.
too.
That's right. I'm
Me
outnumbered
too.
again.
I know. Very excited.
Absolutely.
Let's do this.
So,
right. You guys are up?
So, from what I understand, you are from a family of racers. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So I have been around racing since I could remember. My dad raced, his dad raced, and even his dad raced. So that makes me the 4th generation. And, you know, it's just something that's always been so special to me. I didn't start racing until I was 19 years old. But so racing was like this thing that I was so proud of my family for doing. And it was always in my life. And I always knew I wanted to do it. But because where I grew up, I didn't get that chance. But my dad has worked in racing for my whole life. And so he would take me to the track when I was a kid. And he would even, when I was younger, he'd take me to his races. So it's so cool that I'm a part of the family I'm a part of.
It is. I've got a question for later, but it fits in right now. So when you guys have like Thanksgiving dinner or some other family get together, is there like a race that we could come and watch or anything that, you know, just instead of playing flag football, I just see you guys like starting up the go-karts and going nuts.
Yeah, that has definitely happened before. I remember racing with my uncle Robbie and racing go-karts, and we were so competitive. He had me up on the side of the barrier of the go-kart track, and I was on 2 wheels just like flying down the track, and so it was hilarious. And then some of my family has participated in an event with SVRA. It's their Pro-Am event at Indy. And a lot of them have been able to get in these really cool vintage cars and go race each other. And it's pretty funny to see them all so competitive. Just all of the stories that they have when we're all together are amazing.
You can add to those stories now. So that's awesome.
Just like the things that they did were just crazy, just mind blowing. My Uncle Bobby was telling me once about a race that he had, and he somehow went under the Armco and he landed like 20 feet outside of the racetrack. And the way his head was really lucky, because he could have gotten decapitated, but he wasn't. And it just like the danger of the sport back then was insane. Like a guy would get killed every weekend. And I can't imagine that. It's just crazy. And their mentality was just kind of like, they worked really hard and they drove really fast in really difficult cars to drive. And so it makes for really good conversations. And it's just cool to see what racing was like back then and how it's evolved since then.
Yeah, the cars are much different.
Yeah, the safety has come so far. My grandfather was actually killed practicing for the Indy 500, and he didn't die that day. He passed away a week later from his burns. And people have told me that he's the reason that we have fire suits now. So they used to dip their driving suits in lye. And now, of course, we have really good fire equipment. And I feel a lot of times safer in my race car than I do on the street, just because, we've got the 5-point harness. We have everything that we need in case something's to go wrong. But back then, it's just kind of like something goes wrong, you're either lucky or you're not.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember before you were born, they used to argue about, I don't want to wear a seatbelt because if there's an accident, I want to be thrown clear of the car and not stay in the car. And now it's everything but that. So,
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, just the seat. I mean, like I said, we have 5-point seatbelts. If something's to happen, you're in there. But I've seen some amazing crashes recently that people have walked away just fine from, like the Formula One crash that happened a month ago. That was the craziest thing I've ever seen. And then I know Scott Dixon had a massive crash at Indy one year, and he flipped in the air a bunch of times, and his ankle was a little bit hurt.
I can speak from experience, having crashes on the track and on the road. Poor Bill brings it up. I feel safer.
Yeah.
I feel safer on the track.
Well, you do drive in Delaware, so
Yeah, Jennifer, we just raced over at Charlotte, and Jennifer unfortunately wrecked the car into the wall and broke 2 ribs.
Oh no!
She did.
That's
That was our
horrible.
last race of the season. The car's
Oh,
total.
no.
Our car was Deadpool. Our cars, Garage Heroes in Training, all of our cars normally are superhero cars, and this was our Deadpool car.
Oh, cool. Cool, I guess.
yeah,
but
but-
hey, at least you did it at the last race of the season. That's what, if
First
you're gonna
and
do
last.
it, that's when you want to do it. Because
And she felt bad for a little while, but after we said, it's fine, it's okay, and I'm like, well, how do you feel about it? She goes, I'd do it again.
well,
Like, don't
I
stop
learned-
racing.
yeah, I learned that in racing, it's not if, it's when. So
Exactly.
it
That's
happens
what
to
they told
everyone.
me.
So yeah, I mean, everybody I've talked to who's been in racing long enough has stories to tell of bad crashes. So
it's not the goal, but it's
Not the
part of it.
no,
goal.
not the goal at all. We don't go out there wanting to crash the car, especially when the car costs a lot of money.
But I will say,
But,
I felt safer. Like, it wasn't as alarming as I think it would be on the road. Do you know what I
Right.
mean? Because at least the people on the track are generally predictable.
Right, because you have roll cage and all that.
And on the road, they aren't. And you don't,
Yeah.
I mean, you never know what's on the road.
Oh, absolutely. I am lucky enough to be an instructor at a teen safe driving school called Brakes.
Love that.
And
Yeah, we love brakes.
yeah, Brakes is awesome. And it's just really cool to help young drivers develop skills that you feel they definitely should have. But then, they're also the parents come in and they do their own courses. And it's amazing to see how some of them don't even know what ABS is. And that's just wild to me. Like, as a car person, it's crazy. But that's why Brakes is so cool, because it teaches you these basic skills that everybody should know. And I think it should be a requirement for everybody to go through a basic driving course like that.
So before we go any further on that, why don't we touch on that? Could you explain what Brakes is for our audience?
Yeah. So like I said, it's a teen safe driving school. And from basically any teenager can come sign up, and it's $100 deposit. And at the end of the course, they get that deposit back. And we take them through a number of different skills. One is ABS braking. Another is we have a skid course that we take them on, which is really important because, a lot of people have never felt what a car is like when it gets, when it loses traction. And then what to do if we have a crash avoidance course. So like what to do if you're driving behind a truck and something comes flying out of the truck, how to deal with that. And then what to do if you drop a wheel off the road. A lot of people don't realize that it's actually not what you want to do is jerk the wheel. And, a lot of people sadly have, had passed away, I guess, because that's happened to them, but it's such an easy thing to avoid. A lot of these things are so easy to avoid, and that's why Brakes is so cool.
Yeah, we've tried to get them onto the podcast, but we haven't had any luck yet. But we're going to keep going. We don't give up.
Well, I can be the Brakes representative until they come on.
All right, works.
It's awesome. It's really cool. It's so fun to see what oftentimes students come into the course and they're like, oh, it's just another like driver's ed. It's going to be boring. These people are going to be nagging me about things. And then at the end of the day, they leave and they're stoked because of all of the things they just learned, and they got to skid the car and they have a lot of fun. And it's really cool to see somebody grow in confidence throughout the half day that we do it.
Yeah, our son took it, and the one that he enjoyed, well, I don't know if enjoy is the right word. The one that he really was shocked by was the drunk driving goggles, where his vision got disoriented.
I forgot to mention that. Yeah, that's crazy. I tried those, and they are gnarly. You can't even walk in a straight line with those. So
Yeah.
It's a really good lesson for them, I think.
Yeah. I think he killed 3 kids and two dogs. It was sad.
Oh no. The instructor's probably over there telling them, you killed another dog. That's funny.
Just to be clear for our audience, these were flat pictures of dogs and kids.
Or
kids,
cones.
So,
cones.
Yes,
So.
exactly.
Yeah.
So what cars or series are you currently racing in now, Loni?
So last year I raced in World Racing League in a Porsche Boxster with Round 3 Racing, and that was a really, really fun season. World Racing League is awesome because you have so much track time, and in a lot of professional series, it's only a couple hours of track time, whereas in World Racing League, you get like just an insane amount of track time. So it's awesome, and that's what we all want, is to be driving the car. And then I am actually in 2 weeks going to be racing the Mazda MX5 Cup in the Swamp Dragon car, which I'm really, really excited about. The car has a little baby dragon on the side of it, and his name is Marvin. So that's important to note. And that's going to be my 3rd professional weekend that I've done. So I'm really, really, really excited, and I just feel so lucky to have the opportunity.
The car does look very, very nice. I think you had an Instagram post of it last week, and it was it's quite cute.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see it all done. And I saw a little time lapse of them putting up the baby dragon sticker. So it's going to be fun. And the CEO and founder of Swamp Dragon is coming, and he's really, really excited about the weekend. And it's going to be awesome.
So if you're at a race, like when WRL was going on, we kind of have certain people who are good at certain things, and then we have me who's not good at anything except going and buying parts. So when the way your teams are organized, are you strictly focused on driving, or do you do like the data analysis or the mechanical or whatever?
So in WRL, for example, I'm in charge of my data. So I have to, generally the guys are really busy because the cars are running a lot. We're running in WRL, we're running 8-hour races a day. And so they're super busy. And so I go and take all the data and I'll look at it with my teammates, and I'll look at the video. And generally I am lucky enough that I am able to be focused on driving. But that being said, if anything happens, I'm trying to learn a lot more about the cars, because I think knowing a basic understanding of the way they work is really important to driving skill and ability. And then not only that, but like if I got in a position where I had to fix something, I want to know how to do that. So if anything happens, I'm always trying to watch and ask questions as to what they're doing and why they're doing it. And, I go to the races to learn. It's just, I started a little bit later, like I said, racing in life. So I feel like I have to spend every second as best I can to learn as much as I can.
So how did your race season manage COVID?
In racing, we're lucky enough because fortunately, while we're racing, we're not really around people. So WRL did a great job. We all kind of just stayed in our, teams. And then our drivers' meetings were all over the loudspeakers. So it was really manageable. And everybody was really respectful of one another, which was great. So, I just feel lucky that I could get out of the house this year and then race nonetheless. So, because I know a lot of people weren't lucky enough to even get out of the house. And so I just feel fortunate for that.
So how about moving forward on 2021? Have you got your schedule lined up?
It's still in the works a little bit. Things always seem to go down to the wire, but I'm excited to do something similar to what I did this year. And then I'm hoping to expand on the MX5 Cup season, but I need to continue to look for the budget for that. And, it's a decent budget, so it'll take some work and all of that. But fortunately, everything right now seems like it'll be running, kind of close to normal, except for with masks and, all these extra little mandates. But just getting out and racing I feel lucky.
So how you said you've been racing since 19.
Yeah.
So how many times on the track have you been so far, or have you been kind of dotting it around a little bit, like sampling racing? Because just kind of going out there cold, there's a lot to learn, but I imagine you're around it forever, so you probably know all those little nuances of stuff you're supposed to do. You just have to put them into play, which is different because now you got to study muscle memory. So how long have you been actually racing, and how many times have you been behind the wheel?
A lot.
Fortunately, I've been behind the wheel more times than I can count, which I'm thankful for. But like I said, it's starting late is hard because a lot of drivers now, professional drivers, start karting when they're 6 or 8 years old. And so it's a lot of learning to do, but my family fortunately is able to give me a lot of advice when it comes to the business side of things and how to deal with sponsors and there's so many different things, like even coming down to rights of pictures. I don't know what I can, which pictures I can give people and what I can't, which is kind of strange to think about. But because my family was a part of it and my dad was a part of it and still is, he helps me a lot. So basically my backstory, when I was a senior in high school, my dad came to me and said, would you like to go to a driving school? I was like, of course, yeah, because, when I was little, I went to just the kart track, the indoor kart track for fun. And I was always able to beat my friends just by knowing nothing and just, running around there and having fun. So, like I said, I loved it, the sport so much. So I was like, yeah, like definitely I'll go to a driving school. And she was like, great, it'll make you a better driver on the street. And I got the opportunity when I was young. So go to this driving school, and it was the BMW Performance Driving School. And I went to it, and that night, the night after the first day of driving, I was like, Dad, is there any way we can make this possible, make this happen? Because he knew I'd always wanted to race a little bit. And he was like, yeah, it's a really difficult sport. And I don't know. But then you could tell he started thinking about it and getting excited about it. And then we kind of came up with a racing program after that. And I went to the Mid-Ohio school, which got me my racing license. And then from there, I started racing Spec Miata. And Spec Miata is really competitive, so it taught me a lot really quickly. Just because everybody is so tight and the fields are so big. But that's what we wanted, I didn't want to go out there and just be racing against 5 other people, because you don't learn as much and you don't learn as much racecraft. So that helped me a lot. And now I'll be going into my 5th year of racing, and I'm really excited and hope to continue it for a long time.
And how old are you?
I'm 23 right now.
Okay.
I love
So
how you
awesome.
say I started late.
Yeah, I know.
It's 51, so if that makes you feel any better.
Yeah. See, I'm taking the less smart approach, which is go for it, having no job before and having virtually no money, because I just got out of college too. So I don't, I have no way to help fund myself except for and then, but the smart way, I think, would be to go and get a job and get a career and then be able to pay for your own racing. So I'm doing it the less smart way, but I got to give it a try.
You're you have a backup if you decided that, hey, you know what, maybe this isn't for me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that was kind of my parents were like, you can go racing, but you have to go to college. And I'm really glad I did. I made it work. It was a lot of late nights, but now I have something. But I'm also really passionate about that I can fall back on.
And what is that?
It's actually landscape architecture.
Oh, nice.
Which is kind of random. But I went into college not knowing what I wanted to do. And so I just kind of tried everything, and I knew I was interested in architecture and design. And so I took a class in the school was called environmental design, and you could study 4 different things. You could study landscape architecture, urban planning, and design studies. And obviously I went with landscape architecture, and I just really like it. And it's something that I could maybe turn into also a racing thing if I could ever find a way to do track design.
Nice.
So you could design your own.
Very
Some
good.
tracks are way better than others. They could use a little track design out there.
For sure. Yeah. So there's only a few people in the world who do it, and you just have to meet those people and, say, try to do anything you can, even work for free to get into that. But I think it would be cool if racing doesn't work out to try to do that, because those are the 2 things that I really like.
I
right.
tend to be an and person, not an or person, so you should do them both.
Why not?
Yeah. I mean, definitely. Yeah, exactly. I mean, however, I will say that racing requires so much of the business side to get sponsorship and all of that, that I want to give it my all. And I also want to give, if I was to be in a, typical 9-to-5 job, I also want to give that my all. So doing both at the moment isn't what I'm pursuing. Just because, I want to do what I'm doing 100%. I still have jobs on the side, like I said, breaks, and I have a few other jobs, but yeah, it's what I'm doing right now, and we'll see. I never know. I don't know what next year is going to be like.
So here's what we do. We get your career going in the racing field. You earn your stripes. You become a famous racer. You add to your Indy 500 trophy list in the family house. You get to your, you're like old like us. And, Jack Nicklaus designs golf courses. Why can't you, when you're older and you decide to back off a little bit on the high racing, then you start designing your own race courses?
Yeah, exactly. So your plan is great. That's that would be ideal.
We just got a couple steps in between. Couple steps.
Only a couple. Yeah, it's not that hard to get there, but at all.
Couple things in the way, but we'll work that out. We'll have another podcast. We'll figure that all out.
So as you're learning your racing, do you have a racing philosophy at the moment? Something that you keep telling yourself that,
is it on the family crest somewhere?
This is what I'm going to live by as I'm doing this for now.
I think a couple things. I think being confident, first of all, is really important in racing, especially being someone, a female in racing. There's not many of us. So we have to carry ourselves a certain way and make sure that nobody messes with us because, it can happen because a man sees a woman on the racetrack. And fortunately, I've been lucky and it hasn't happened that much, but it can, it requires confidence, I guess. And then my second thing is patience. And patience is more on track. And it's something my family has talked to me a lot about, being patient and with different things. So like you don't want to force anything. You don't want to force a pass. You need to be patient, wait for the perfect opportunity to make that pass. Because if you force it, either it's not going to stick or you're going to crash. And that's important. And then also being patient in terms of, growth and making those next steps in my racing career. So that's those two things are important to me when I look at racing.
That's one of the best philosophies
that's a good advice.
So do you have any tips for newbies or young drivers, particularly female young drivers, to help get them into the sport?
Yeah, I think networking is really important for young drivers, and always being at the track, even if you're not driving, try to do what you can to make it out to the track and always be making connections and making friends and meeting people. And then with that, when you're at the track, always make sure you put your best foot forward. You never know who you're talking to. And, you could meet someone who could help you out in your career, or, you could meet your future teammate. So I think, going to the track, and then when you're at the track, always put your best foot forward, and then always learn, always make sure you're asking questions. And then you'll find people who will naturally want to help you.
That's true. I found that, the times that we have been at the track, I guess in the past few years, we've found so many people that are just so willing to help.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many great people in racing who want to help you, and it's really cool to see that. And you also have to be aware of those people who may not want to help you, but I think, if you're genuine and authentic, the good people will come.
So here's a big question. What's it like living under the pressure, or do you have pressure expectations with your family name?
I absolutely have pressure. When I get to the track, people are like, oh, you're an answer. And it's funny because it doesn't happen in everyday life because people don't necessarily know who the answers are until you get to the racetrack. And then once you get to the racetrack, people are like, oh, yeah, you have these really cool family members and you better be perfect. And I try to think about that and I try to help it motivate me to be the best I possibly can be. But then I also kind of have to relieve that pressure from myself because if I'm just to put myself in a pressure cooker, I'm not going to do well. I need to be enjoying myself and I need to be focused on other things besides that. And oftentimes I kind of forget about it. Which I think is good. And then all of a sudden I remember and I think it's really cool. And, it motivates me more than anything.
Do they apply pressure to you?
My family, no, they don't. They're.
I think your family, in a sense, probably would be ultimately supportive. I'm talking about like other individual racers.
No, I haven't gotten that so much. Maybe behind my back. I don't know what people say, but I haven't really gotten a ton of, people saying, well, you're an Unser. Why did you do this? I'm just learning like everybody else. So I've been lucky in that people don't really dwell on it, which is nice. Cause I just want to, I'm just trying to live in my racing career and make my own way. But then also having the last name is cool. So,
She's just out there just living her life. Just leave her alone. Leave me alone. Let me do my thing.
I love it. I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that your dad was real, I guess, supportive and, helping you get into the sport and everything. How is the rest of your family? I mean, your mom, for instance, are they concerned or have they expressed any concerns or?
Yeah, for sure. So definitely when my parents didn't want me to start racing, actually. Obviously now that I am, they're super excited about it and they support me every step of the way. But my mom, I think she gets nervous and sometimes she doesn't watch the races as she goes out, and she really likes mountain biking and skiing. So she'll go out and do that and work out as hard as she can to try to forget about it while I'm racing. But I think she also just really wants me to do well, and she loves hearing about it. And she also really loves going to the races, which is awesome to have her there.
Can she watch you race, or does she have to kind of?
I think she kind of like paces halfway, kind of just like nervous anxiety energy. So
did she ever pass you while you were on the track? Because I'm pretty sure she's probably pacing pretty quick, so she might have gotten a lap or two in before.
I haven't seen her yet, but I will report back.
Give her a point by if she does. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really funny. My first professional race in the MX5 Cup 2 years ago in 2019, my dad was a nervous wreck. He was 100 times more nervous than I was. I was like cool as a cucumber, and my dad was just acting so strange the whole weekend. I was like, Dad, what? Because usually we kind of joke on race weekends and like have fun and, but this weekend he was just acting so strange. And then it was funny because as soon as I finished my first race, you could kind of see like the weight come off of him. He's like, oh, she can actually do this. Like, I can act normal. And somebody got a video of him at the track, just like hand over his mouth, just pacing, just like so nervous, just all of the nervous energy. I looked at that video and I just died laughing. It was hilarious. But I think that just goes to show that, he wants me to do well and he wants the best for me, which is really cool. And I'm lucky to have a dad that's that supportive and a mom that is that supportive.
That's awesome.
So that was pretty funny.
We know you enjoy it and have competed in downhill skiing. it's a skiing question, but how could you relate downhill skiing to racing or driving a car?
So downhill skiing is all about the line, and it's all about looking ahead. And same with racing. It's, you even more so in racing, you have to pick that perfect line, and you always want to look ahead and look up. And then also just kind of that sending it aspect. Like in downhill skiing, you just kind of have to send it, I guess. And same with racing. Yeah. There's no better way to say it that I can think of than just kind of send it and give it all you got. Because, well, in downhill skiing, you have a minute to do your thing and a minute to perform, which is crazy. So you have to take all that focus into a minute. And then it applies towards racing as well, as always making sure you're focusing and at peak mental performance as well as physical.
Those are some really good points.
Better brakes in a race car, though.
Yeah, exactly.
So how is it not having to balance college and racing anymore?
It's nice. When I was in school, I did not have much of a social life. In college, you always see people, and it's all about the social life and all of that. And I didn't have much of a social life, which I'm fine with looking back, because I was pursuing the two things that really meant a lot to me. And I would be gone on the weekends. Like, I wouldn't have time to hang out with friends or go to parties or whatever. And then I would get back late Sunday night and have to do homework, and then have to go to school Monday morning and fit in all of the racing planning and sponsorship and all of that into my college schedule. And architecture is known to be one of the most time-consuming majors, which is kind of stupid. I picked it, honestly, because I didn't realize how time-consuming it was. It's a lot of project-based work, so we don't take as many tests, but we do a lot of hands-on stuff. So we're always building things, whether they're on the computer or physically. And it just by nature, it takes longer to do that kind of thing than it does to study for a test.
Yeah, I know how we feel on a Monday with the post-race hangover. I can't imagine having to wake up and go to school. That would just
It's not fun. But like I said, I made it work. At the beginning, I was able to do the 25 hours of Thunder Hill. I was so excited about it. And but the next, I believe it was the next day, I had my giant final review. And in architecture, the final reviews are like it's the most pressure, and you have to present your work that you've been working on basically the entire semester. And so I did the 25-hour, didn't sleep during the 25-hour, probably like 3 hours. And I had to take my plane home. And then another thing architecture students are known for is spending till the last second working on the project. And it wasn't because I procrastinated. It was just because in that culture, it's you work till the very end, because you want the more you work on it, the more beautiful it's going to be, your final project. And so I got home and I spent 2 nights in a row not sleeping. And I love sleep, so that was not fun for me, but I got it done. I think I got a good grade on it and everything, but that was one of the more stressful times in my life.
So anyway, we are going to enter into something called the Fast and Furious Storytime Questions, which we ask every guest, and it gets to know you just a little bit better. And they're actually kind of fun. They're relatively rapid fire. So I hope you enjoy them. Okay, yeah. Jennifer.
Okay, our first question is, what was your very first car, and what was the worst car you've ever had or driven?
My first car was an Audi A4 2004 manual transmission. So when I was like 12 years old, I learned manual, and yeah, I'm glad I did that. I was like, when I was 12 or 13 years old, I'm like, Dad, I'm an Unser. I have to learn how to drive a manual car. And so that's what I did. And then in college, I wouldn't say it's my worst, but I have some funny stories about it. In high school, I got a 73 Volkswagen Beetle, and bright orange one. And I love that car because when I was younger, Herbie Fully Loaded was like my favorite movie because of the girl driving the race car. And so I just loved Volkswagen Beetles. And so I'd be driving to school and my seat latch would unloosen. So my seat would fly backwards while I was driving down the road. And then one time I was driving around a corner and the passenger side door flung open and it would die at stop signs. What?
Just like in the Herbie movie.
Yeah, exactly. So it would die at stop signs, and it was just, it was definitely not, it was one of my favorite cars, but it was not great in terms of what it would do while I was driving it. So
yeah, we had one of those.
They're awesome. They have so much personality, and you always wave to the people who have other ones as well.
Absolutely. So this is one question that we put in, and we stole it from Spike Ferenson's podcast, but we thought it was a great question, and I'm really interested in this, especially with your background. So there's always like this one car that got you into cars. It could have been a Hot Wheels car. It could have been, in your case, it could have been one of your uncle's cars. It could have been your father's car. When you were growing up, that really you can trace back to being a car person or a driver. So what is your taproot car?
As lame as it sounds, it was probably the Herbie Fully Loaded. Yeah,
got all these cars
it's not
to choose from, and
glamorous.
that's it, huh?
Yeah, I know, but I got to be honest with you. So,
No.
Yeah, it was probably that. If not, probably one of my dad's Indy cars. I remember him sitting me down as a baby in the cockpit of his Indy car, and I can remember looking around thinking it was the coolest thing ever. But so I'd say Herbie Fully Loaded or my dad's Indy car.
Okay. Well, that's two ends of the spectrum, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what is the one thing that no one knows about you that would surprise them?
Yeah, I'm a pretty open book.
Everybody says that, and then they're like,
She knits.
I can knit. I can only knit scarves, so it's not very cool, but I can knit.
Well,
that's about all I got.
When you're going 200 miles an hour at the Indy, you can have your scarf fluttering behind you.
Yeah.
In practice.
May not be very fireproof, but maybe I could be the first one to knit a fireproof scarf.
There you go.
That's right. It could be a way to finance the entire team. Those could be the next thing.
I think my hands would be sore after that, but
well, you teach
to finance a whole IndyCar team.
once you do the first one, you teach somebody else. That's good.
Yeah, outsource.
Okay, so what is the car from your family that sticks out in your mind? It could be like one of your dad's race cars. It could be like a family car.
Could be the Griswold station wagon.
The Johnny Lightning car.
All right, you brought it up.
The Johnny Lightning car that
So my mom used to work for Topper Toys when I was a kid, like 6, when I was 6. So your uncle, Al Sr., was racing on the Indy 500, and I had my little Johnny Lightning car and my Johnny Lightning car carrier, and I'm watching him, and I swear that my car that I had in my hand was the exact same car that he was racing and winning the race in. So
is that your taproot car,
Johnny
Bill?
That's so cute.
It kind of is. You know, it's kind of like having your mom work for Hot Wheels. You know, it's back in the Stone Ages when I was a kid. That was one of the big three. Anyway, all right, Johnny Lightning. I like
That's
Johnny
so cool. Yeah, it's just such an iconic car.
I'm Googling Johnny Lightning car. Just kidding.
Okay. No worries. That's fine.
It's cool. It's really cool. And we've all kind of used the lightning theme throughout our racing. So I think, my dad kind of had lightning bolts incorporated into his helmet, and my logo has a lightning bolt in it. So it's just kind of like an Unser theme, which is pretty cool.
It's pretty appropriate with the speed you guys drive at. So, yeah.
So how many family members are on iRacing?
Well, my dad uses my account, which is pretty funny because I'll be the simulator is down in the basement, and I'll be upstairs and just hear him cursing people out. And I'm like, Dad, you're racing under my name. So my dad iRaces sometimes.
So does he increase your rating or decrease your rating? I'm just curious.
At first we worked together quite a bit to get our rating up. And I say ours because, again, he uses my account. And, I would say overall probably decreases it.
I thought you raised it better than that.
I know, right? We always have simulator competitions, which is pretty funny because it's just nonstop, like heckling each other, like, I beat you and blah, 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 you're going too slow through that corner. And it's pretty funny. And then my dad's cousin, who I just call my uncle as well, he's not technically my uncle, but my uncle Robbie, iRaces a lot, and he's always on there, which is cool. And, whenever I want somebody to drive with, I always text Uncle Robbie. And it's always a really funny time because he's a character, like most of my family.
That's awesome.
Seems to be. So the question that everybody's dying to know, are you an automatic or a stick or don't care?
Oh, manual, all the day. No, that didn't make sense. Definitely manual. Like I said, when I was growing up, that was a must. And then also in high school, it's a good tip because if anybody has kids in high school, get them a manual car because then none of their friends can drive their car. So
and it's harder to text.
And it's harder to text. Harder to be distracted because you've got stuff going on. So definitely important. Sadly, I no longer have a manual transmission car, although I wanted one very badly. But things sadly are just moving away from that, as you guys know.
Yep.
So who's your favorite race car driver? Any family wars we're going to start?
We're not starting a war in the family. If you want to say excluding my family, that's fine.
Excluding
my family. I really
Good
look
plan.
up to Catherine Legg. She has done amazing things in IMSA, in the sports car world, and even open wheel world. And I just respect her so much because not only is she a crazy fast race car driver, she's just that. She's a race car driver. She's not a girl race car driver. She's a race car driver, and she's good. And I really look up to that because that's what I want to be. I don't want people to be at the track saying, oh, she's good for a girl. Like, I want to be good because I'm good. And I want to be respected as a good race car driver. And so I just look up to her a tremendous amount. And I haven't met her, but she seems like a really cool person. So
That's awesome.
Sounds like somebody we need to get on the podcast.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
She's on the list. Sorry.
Perfect.
So
Sorry to
I want to listen to that one.
our next question is front wheel drive, rear wheel drive, or four wheel drive, or does it even matter?
Ooh, I like all-wheel drive cars. They're fun because they can just you can just throw them around, it feels like, and just pull them out of anything, and they're good. And I have only been able to drive one once, a rallycross car, which was so much fun. And I really enjoyed that. And then I also really like rear wheel because it dances around a little bit. It's a little bit looser, which I I think is really fun.
That does sound good. I want one of those now.
I know you're just 23, but this is a standard question. What is that one car that got away?
Probably.
Could be anything. Could be a race car that you didn't get or wanted to get. Anything you want.
Probably that Volkswagen Beetle.
Really?
Yeah.
They're just silly cars.
Yeah,
They make you smile when you see
yeah, and it's like I said, as silly as it is, it's kind of what made me really love cars. And we sold it to get my Spec Miata race car, so it went to good use, I guess. But I miss it a lot.
You might not want your family to listen to that part of the podcast. I'm just saying.
No, they know I'm weird, so it's fine. Just like they are. So
that's awesome. All right. So a lot of times, especially when we have people who are racers, we're constantly, we're garage heroes, but we probably should have bigger letters for the in training part. So we're constantly thinking of ways that we're trying to get better. Do you have any areas of your driving or racing that you're currently working on for the upcoming season? And what are you doing to try to get better at them?
one thing I was told when I first started racing is you want to either be on the gas or on the brake. And that's a habit that I've kind of carried along with me that I'm starting to learn isn't necessarily good. Having a coasting period mid-corner can actually help benefit you. And being able to get to throttle once and not have to lift off multiple times can actually hurt you getting to throttle can help you. Whereas if you're going around the corner trying to get to throttle, then you don't get as much pull off the corner. And so patience this year is something that I'm really working on, and being able to have that little moment of pause, I guess.
Is that because it settles the car down and gets it balanced, or why?
So yeah, if you go into a corner and you brake and then immediately you try to get back to gas, you'll have to get back to gas, get off, get back, get off. And that first, like you said, it unsettles the car, but then also because you're not getting one initial back to power, you don't get as good of a pull off the corner, because if you can just do it all at once, it helps you down the straightaway.
Okay. Miss Jen?
So what is the fastest you've ever driven a car? What car, where, and when?
I believe 140, I want to say. And I was lucky enough to help BMW with their new M4 GT4 program. And I was able to act as sort of a customer, so they could test out this new program and drive the M4 GT4s, which were amazing. And I believe that was the fastest I went, and that was at their one of their head training facilities in Thermal, California.
Okay, cool.
That's awesome. Okay, so we're going to win the lottery. We just have to start playing. It seems like this week's a good time to start playing. It's quite large. But part of that is we're going to have a podcast desert island. And on our desert island, obviously, we will hire you to design the track. But we want to make sure that all our podcast guests have the 5 cars that they need to enjoy our visit to the island. So what cars do we need to have on the island for you when you arrive?
Oh, man, that's a good question. I would say that M4 GT4 would be really cool. We have to have an open wheel car, so sure. Why not an Indy car? So that's 2.
You might know 1 or 2 of those, yeah.
Yeah. We have to have some sort of dirt car. So
no problem. We have a dirt track that you built us. That was great. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. It has everything. It has all the features. So we have to have a dirt car, either a rallycross car, so that's really fun, or like a midget, dirt midget would be really cool. That's 3, 4. 3. And fourth, we have to have a Mazda MX5 Cup car because they're really fun to drive, or a Miata, one of the momentum cars, because they're just a blast to drive, and people don't realize how much fun you can have in lower horsepower cars. So
We have 3 of them.
yeah, they're great. I mean, they're just a blast. Like, and then getting around other people, it's the most fun thing with the drafting and the bump drafting and all of that. So, man, fourth car. I'm gonna have something high end, maybe a Lamborghini.
There you go.
Yeah, like a Super Trofeo car. That would be pretty cool. Then I think you'd be set. Honestly, that would be really fun.
Well, you could
I'd go to this island.
The 5th car.
Oh yeah, I know. That one isn't as fun to race because I'm sure stuff would go wrong all the time.
You can drive it between the racetracks.
Yeah. Either the Lamborghini or the Volkswagen Beetle.
Yeah, we've had people have what was the fun they had? The taco truck was one they wanted.
Ooh, that's smart because then otherwise you don't have any food.
Oh no, this island's taking care of you. You just
Oh,
tell
okay.
us what you need.
We
So
had
we
Chitty
might
Chitty
keep the
Bang
taco
Bang.
truck.
I love that one.
Ooh, that was an answer? That's good.
Yeah.
Man, mine were boring compared to that.
No, not worried at all.
Can't tell you're focused on racing at all. Nope.
Because you just rambled them right off. That was fun.
So, what would be a dream car to race in that you would like to start a build from, or just to have your team do?
Yeah, I would really like to drive the prototype cars, the IMSA prototype cars. I think that would be really, really cool. That's kind of my goal in racing is to make it there and race an IMSA and hopefully a prototype car. If not, a GT car is as well would be awesome.
All cars are fun.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm happy just getting in any sort of car. To be honest, I'll take whatever.
Okay, so our next question is, what is your most memorable car breakdown or on the road or the track?
Man, this was funny. So this happened this year. Me, Pippa Man, and Sarah Montgomery were headed to the racetrack, and the rental car broke down on the way to the racetrack. And we were like, well, at least it's happening now because, obviously we didn't want it to happen that day. So that was pretty funny. We had to abandon the rental car and get somebody to pick us up.
It's better than the race car breaking down.
Exactly. But it was just funny because just the whole thing, just headed to the racetrack and then your rental, like whose rental car breaks down? Usually they're pretty good. So
It should be.
Yeah.
So did you have to hitchhike with your helmets in your hands or?
So I think we knew somebody who was
okay.
headed that way. Luckily enough.
That's good.
So, if you can only daily drive and race cars from one decade in the past, what decade would you choose?
Ooh. Man, that's a hard question because I wouldn't want to race cars too long ago because they're really, really dangerous.
Yeah.
So, maybe I think the 80s would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah, I think that would be cool. That's my answer. Sticking with that.
Right. 80s work. I asked the questions that no one else will ask. Jeremy, Hammond, May, Chris, Matt, other.
What about them?
Which one?
See, that's
Which
why
one?
we don't ask it.
I like Hammond.
Half of the people don't know who we're talking about.
Yeah, those are fun. They're like, who?
What?
I'm like, okay, that's
moving
an
on.
answer. That works.
They're all so great though. I mean, just the combination of all of them just make it so entertaining.
Mhm.
It's hard to choose.
So we've got a few questions in here that are aimed strictly at as we travel around the country and do our racing. We want to know certain things that we need to hit. So the first of those is, what is your favorite back road or country road or drive, and where is it? So if we're in the area, we're going to go see it. We like to take our tours.
A lot of, and I wouldn't be able to tell you what they're called, but a lot of the back roads in Idaho, I grew up in Idaho, are really cool. They're fun to drive down, and near Fairfield is cool, and driving up into the mountains of Fairfield is awesome. Or up north by Stanley, Idaho is absolutely breathtaking. So if you're ever in Idaho, come to that neck of the woods.
We'll get there someday.
It's beautiful. I don't like to tell people that because I don't want people to come to Idaho, but it is beautiful.
Where would your ultimate road trip be from and to, and in what car?
Man, these are good questions.
They're fun questions. Make you think.
Yeah, they are. I think going up to Canada, road tripping to Canada, anywhere really, just in the mountains. Like I said, I'm a big skier, so always want to be going to the good snow. But even around like Banff is beautiful. I think it'd be fun to road trip up there. Probably in a sporty all-wheel drive car. An Audi of some sort, probably, I think, would be the move.
Very nice.
Oh, I think I know the answer to our next question already.
Me
So
too.
what
Me
is
too.
what is your favorite car movie or car from a movie of all time?
I watched Talladega Nights
Oh!
last night, and you just can't stop laughing the
It's
whole
funny.
movie.
It's funny.
Yeah, it's just good, and it's
Ricky Bobby.
just yeah, and there's so many quotes.
Yep.
I think that one has to be one of the top ones.
We all thought you were getting Herbie again.
Yeah, no, not this time. I've advanced past Herbie.
Okay, just making sure. Vic?
I asked that question already. We're
No,
down here, honey.
didn't. So Vicky would ask, what car would you love to switch into that you're currently racing against or raced in the past against, and at what track?
This one. This is the question we were supposed to ask right there.
I did that one already.
So what car would I...
What car would you love to switch into that you're currently racing or raced in the past against, and at what racetrack?
Like if you had a claw and you could just grab the guy by the helmet
Yeah.
or the girl, pick him out of their car and put yourself right back in there, and then just go race.
Probably... I raced against Audi R8 this year. That was beautiful. I really like those cars a lot. So I'd probably do that. And I've never raced at Road America, and everybody loves that track. It's iconic. So probably there.
All right, I'll do the next one. So what car, if any, would you want to wipe away from history? Do you have a least favorite car? Some
Could be a
don't.
brand, could be a single car.
I'd like to say something really wise here, but I'm like, all cars helped advance.
That's my opinion. That's my opinion. It's not my favorite question.
So, yeah, even like the silly cars, you just kind of have to laugh at them, but there's some car colors that I would love to wipe from history. There's a horrible like brown, like light brown tan color that's just awful. That could be wiped.
We could take that.
Just that color.
We'll take that.
More than take that.
So
what's your... Go ahead.
what's your favorite track
ahead.
so far?
So I really liked VIR because it felt like a roller coaster. It was just so much fun, high speed. I love that one. But then I really like tracks like Indy and Daytona because of the history behind them. And going there feels really special and feels really cool. So different ones for different reasons.
So I have to say, we've had so many guests say VIR.
I know.
We have
it's
to go
just,
to VIR now.
You guys haven't been?
No.
No, it's on the schedule.
You gotta go. And it's beautiful. Like the surrounding the track, just the trees and everything is so cool. So
We have it on our schedule for this year, hopefully twice. So
good. Yeah, you guys are gonna love it. It's pretty cool. And you really feel like you're on a roller coaster. I think there's a corner in VIR called roller coaster even. So checks out.
So do you have a favorite turn so far?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, there is a kink, the kink in Barber, turn 6, I think it is. And I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but for me, it's the most memorable because in the cars I've been driving, or I drove it in the MX5 Cup car, you have to take it flat. And it's one of those corners where you're like, I took it flat, I did it flat. And then you look on the data and you definitely did not do it flat. So yeah, you wanted to, but you didn't. And data doesn't lie. So that's always frustrating. But it's because it's frustrating that I like it so much, is because every time you go through there, you kind of have to hype yourself up for it.
So I already asked about the family go-kart race, but have you ever been in a real race with a family member, and do you have the bragging rights afterwards?
No, I haven't been in a real race with a family member. I'd love to get my dad out, but I don't know if that
iRacing login, if that'll help.
Yeah. I know. I think that needs to happen either with Robbie or my dad. I think that would be pretty fun.
I think if you beat Robbie, he's going to be very unhappy.
So in your opinion, how much of racing is learned versus how much is natural skill?
So it's funny because in racing, a lot of people refer to a driver as having talent. And I always see talent as something that's just always that's within you. And I think race car drivers spend a lot of time trying to get better and improving. And you can't, even if you have natural talent, you can only take that so far. And so I think a little bit of it is natural talent. Like clearly it was pretty evident to me when I'd go to those silly indoor go-kart tracks when I was younger, or, you know, when I did my first driving schools, that I had some natural talent because I could just kind of get it. But then I think to take it to the next level, it takes a lot of dedication and a lot of hard work to become one of the best drivers.
So if it is, that's a very good answer. So if we had a magic wand and we could give you 2 gifts, one would be you could hear a song for the first time again. What song would you want to hear for the first time?
I like the magic theme. I'm feeling very, very lucky
Magical.
with all of these
That's right.
these imaginary things.
I know if we ever played the lottery, we might actually have this island, but you know.
Yeah. Oh man, the song is hard.
Okay. I could give you the second one. What about what movie would you like to see for the first time?
I really like Ocean's 8. And I'm not like a classic. I'm not one of those kids who've seen all of the movies growing up. I'm trying to see more now, but I'm just not. I really like Ocean's 8 though, because there's it's all about these 8 women who are just super smart and pretty cool. So, I mean, not cool in terms of like stealing things and breaking the law, but I like how smart they are and, you know,
It's
how they
movie
think
stealing.
about this
It's fine.
puzzle.
It's movie stealing. It's fine.
Yeah, it's movie stealing. It's fine. So yeah, it's kind of a different answer, I'm sure, but
It is.
I like it.
We haven't had that one. And then what track would you like to drive for the first time?
Probably Indy, just because of my family history there.
Sure.
And yeah, it's just so iconic. And crossing the Brickyard there, it's just, there's no other feeling like it. And I haven't driven the oval, so maybe one day.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
We'll be rooting for you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So what are you currently working on for the upcoming race season?
So I'm going to do something kind of like what I did last year with WRL. I'm really excited about it. I have some really awesome teammates there. And then I think I mentioned it a couple times, probably just because I'm so excited, but I'm racing the Mazda MX5 Cup, and I'm going to try to raise the funds to do the whole season with that as well. But you know, it's challenging to find the funds, but I'm going to give it all I got, and why not, you know?
If you do everything you can never regret anything.
Exactly.
Nope.
So I'm just going to try to get in the car as much as I possibly can, especially now that I'm out of college and don't have to go to my professors begging to have another day off.
Yeah. So do you get the rush when you're driving?
Yeah,
Adrenaline?
definitely. Yeah, I would say really much so when you're in a sprint race in a pack of other cars. Racing these Mazdas is just so fun, and it's just nothing like it to have, you know, like on the street you would never have cars that close to you and going that fast and making passes and stuff. There's no other feeling like it. There's hardly any way to describe it other than that's what makes you want to keep coming back for more.
Well, that's it for us, Loni. How
Very
do
good.
we keep in contact you, or how would someone follow you or your team? Or
I'm Loni Unser on all social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook,
All the things.
Twitter. Yeah. And now TikTok, which is a little scary, but I have 2 videos on TikTok. So
that's awesome.
all the platforms, I'm just Loni Unser.
Well, thank you for coming on. We hope we entertained you a little bit and hope you had a good time. And it was a great having you on, and wish you the best of luck in this year and every other year. And we'll be following along. We've been Instagram following for quite a while, and I'd like to thank you again for coming on to the podcast.
Yeah, I'm honored to be a part of it. And thank you guys so much for inviting me. And it was so much fun talking to you guys.
Dominating with Dawson.
So, Ben, we've got a lot of people on our team. Some of them, I would say, personality-wise, they tend to overdrive the car, push it, take the aggressive play, what have you. And some of them tend to underdrive the car, meaning they'll gradually keep creeping up a little bit, keep progressing. Is there any advantage or disadvantage that you can see from either of these approaches? And then there's some other stuff I'd like to know, but
I guess we'd have to kind of come to a common understanding what overdriving and underdriving mean. What are you thinking of when you say those sort of things?
So it would be somebody who maybe is a little more mechanically unsympathetic to the car, maybe a little more gas than brake, maybe a little more let me try and hammer this thing in here and see if I can get it to roll through, versus somebody who's gonna, well, this time I went through in third gear and I'm in 62 miles an hour and I hit the apex perfectly. So next time I'll come through and I'm going to hit the apex and see if I can get through there at 63 miles an hour. And then the next
right.
stop,
So you're talking about this,
64.
somebody might be on the team who isn't likely to take care of the car and is likely to take risk that maybe they shouldn't take in traffic. So
maybe it's more the risk averse versus the risk tolerant.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I mean, when you talk about specifically overdriving a car, you mean like overheating the engine or overrunning the tires or overdriving the traction and ending up off the course. So those are pretty easy ones to say. hey, don't do that. If you're overheating the engine, drive around the track in a higher gear or with fewer RPM or whatever you can do to reduce the heat of the engine. You know what I mean? There's some very basic answers to some very basic overdriving. But when it gets to, this person is just consistently trying too hard and putting our error rate at an unacceptable level, or causing too much damage. How do you stop somebody who's just making bad choices? I don't know. Like what?
Well, I think that the question wasn't really, the errors will show themselves. It's how does the person improve if their tendency is to go too fast or go too hard, versus how do we help somebody improve whose tendency is a little more conservative, a little more, let me creep up on this.
Right.
Like,
That's the tough one. I mean, I've definitely been there on teams before, and I am usually the person who needs to be tuned down a little bit.
Well, that is an example of a person I was thinking about when I wrote this question. So
yeah, I mean, you have to be calibrated up or calibrated down, I think, unless you just happen to be the perfect racer for what you're trying to do, which is rare or never in my experience. But
they're not on this podcast, at least.
Right. It's tough. I definitely come from the spectrum of having to be, somebody's got to turn the wick down on me usually, but I've also been there with teammates who I'm dying to turn the wick up on. And, from the other end of the spectrum, instead of how do you stop this errant overdriver, to how do you speed up this one person who doesn't seem to understand getting any faster. That's a tough one. I mean, if you're trying to get somebody to come out of the timid end of the spectrum, out of the comfortable timid end of the spectrum, to get faster and push the car a little bit harder on track and take more risks in traffic, that's tough. I mean, you have to be with them on the radio. You got to maybe get that person in the car with the fast person at DEs to help them understand what the car can do, in their hands or anybody's hands. That's a tough one. I think it's harder to get somebody up to speed than it is to go, hey, buddy, no more of that stuff where you try to go 3 wide down the straightaway. We're not doing that anymore. We all have to drive this car. Hey, buddy, no more shifting at 69. We're all shifting this car at 63, and nobody gets a break on that. Don't make me put a rev load. It's so much easier to tell somebody bring it down than it is to hoist somebody up to where they're not comfortable being. But that's a challenge, and it's something that we all face in amateur endurance racing or track driving or whatever. Yeah,
for sure. So, Miss Jen, you are the underdriver.
The underdriver?
Just by personality, Jen.
I am definitely the underdriver.
Jen wants to get there, know she's there, get comfortable there, and then move up just a little bit more. So typically, I have seen that and know your personality well enough to know that is your perspective on things and the way you naturally deal with it. And I'm trying to figure out, how do I help you go fast without you feeling like you're getting pushed to go fast? So if we were to think about what would Jen do for Jen, being a stereotypical underdriver, what do you think would be the way to make you feel comfortable pushing a little bit?
I don't think there's anything that you can do to make me feel comfortable. I think I just need seat time, and I think I need to just be comfortable and apply everything that I'm learning.
But is it the learning that helps you, or the seat time, or do you need?
I think it's
both.
It's both.
Okay.
It's both. It's both. It's both.
I'm just trying to make sure we're doing what you need, because.
Yes. When I said nothing that you, everything, like all of the HPDs we're doing, like the encouragement that you're giving, all of those things are exactly what I need. Like, what I wouldn't respond to would be, oh, just stay in the car a little bit longer if I'm out there. Do you know what I mean? Or you could do it just, yeah. So like what you're doing now is exactly what I need, because I feel like I have gotten faster, but on my own terms.
You have.
And yeah, and I think that's kind of where I need to be, because I if I'm pushed too hard, like I just kind of get too anxious, and then I can't really focus on anything. Do you know what I mean? So, but I know that about me.
Yeah.
So,
And it's not that you're wrong. It's just, you have to, like, I guess I'm approaching this from, I'm trying to be a pseudo instructor and help guide and coach our team. And I don't ever want to push somebody to be uncomfortable, or definitely don't want to push somebody to be unsafe. But I also, that's not my natural tendency. So I'm trying to figure out, it's like, how do you deal with, not the opposite, but a different personality profile? Like Ben, you've taught a lot of people when you've done your HPD instruction.
Yep.
I'm sure you've had people who were not timid, but I can't really think of a good word because it's getting late. But
I have. Yeah, I've had people who were reticent to just get on the loud pedal and have needed some cheerleading. And for the most part, even with people who think they're pretty great quick track drivers, I still am in the car usually saying, "All right, let's get on the gas. Let's brake a little bit later." So even folks who think they're pretty good at it, still an instructor will still have to kind of push them pretty hard. So there's always going to be somebody in the car. If you get some good in-car instruction, somebody's always in there. We're like, let's go, get on the gas. There's always somebody who's going to kind of push you a little bit harder, but it's our job as in-car instructors to understand what you're comfortable with and what you respond to. So probably wouldn't be in there screaming at Jen or anything like that, but we would like to try to encourage you.
Yeah, no, and that's even a good example was that. Oh,
Go ahead, Ben. Go do what you got to do.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Go do it.
All right, see ya.
We got this.
Yeah. You go do.
All right. So Vicky, you're kind of in the middle. You're not, oh my God, I can't wait to put this pedal down to the metal and put 100% of my gas pedal down and make as much noise as I can and go running around the track with my left hand out the window throwing shakas as I'm skidding down the road. But you're also
Chakras. Yeah.
But you're also
going all Xena.
Yeah.
Going all Xena on the racetrack.
That's right.
Yeah, girl.
But you're also not, let me just creep up on this ever so slowly. You're probably a little more towards that side than the aggressive side, but what helps you as a driver to improve? What is it? Seat time? Is it instruction? Is it what's best for your personality to help you progress?
I'm in the phase of when I'm trying to knit it together. So at this point right now, it's probably seat time.
So
until I can get back in.
So we should talk about the upcoming HPDE at NJMP.
I have absorbed a lot of information,
and you need to apply it.
And I need to implement it now.
Okay. In
a car that doesn't break down on the track.
That's important. That's very important.
Which team are you going to be racing with next then? Because it's not going to be ours.
Yes.
I think this year was really good in the sense that it was a little bit more low key and
less races, more HPD.
Yeah,
less races, more training, and like it was. Yeah, I mean, it was. I really, really found it beneficial.
The training is invaluable if you want to have fun with the racing. I think if you want to really enjoy the racing, a bunch of the training makes it so much more fun. That's my opinion and my own lived experience.
Yeah.
So maybe it wasn't intentional, doing so many HPDs, but with the COVID thing, I really kind of feel like it worked.
We had so much fun together.
Yeah, I mean, This
was the first season when we
could have fun again.
Spent so much time together in one trailer. traveled together. We had we actually got tighter as a family.
What goes on in the
we
trailer
had a
stays in the trailer.
We had a
Okay.
blast.
That's great.
Matter
That's-
with you? I seriously question you, honey.
I'm on a streak here, you know.
That's what it's all about. It's all about having fun and getting together, and everything else kind of rides second to that for me.
Enjoying the road trips too, together.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that we got a lot out of it this time around, this year.
Yeah.
I'll be very excited when we start putting it all together.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's a lot of fun to compete.
Thank you, Northeast NASA.
Thank you.
Great Lakes
Tell you.
NASA. Yes, Great Lakes NASA.
Yep.
Thank
you guys,
you.
since you're
Thank
sampling,
you
since
for-
you're sampling all these NASA regions, the one I'm used to is Mid Atlantic, and I would definitely recommend them too. You should come down and check out the Mid Atlantic folks too. They're pretty fun at VIR.
Okay. We need to get to VIR.
VIR again, right?
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Ben.